Welcome, hello, greetings, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Divine Mess. My name is Kirtideva Perumal. I'm the cosmic guide at the Heroes Mystic Holistic Life Coaching. And today, I every week I have the opportunity to co-host a podcast called The Divine Mess, which you're currently listening to. If it's your first time, welcome. If you're the second or third or whatever number you reach, welcome back. Thank you for keep on listening to us. So just a brief about what I do, and then we'll introduce my co-host. So Heroes Mystic Life Coaching is all about like finding that inner hero. It's like we're on a mission to unlock your true potential through modern coaching techniques and a sprinkle of cosmic magic. Like we guide you on a journey like self-discovery. So brace yourself for an adventure in the divine mess where we dwell in the realms of mind and body and spirit. And also we talk about like balancing the divine masculine and feminine energies. So that's why I have a lovely co-host every week that help me to find it to find life in terms of from the feminine perspective, from the divine feminine perspective. And today, for our 35th episode, we have decided to talk about a topic that maybe closest to heart for me. It's about digital detox. Maybe it's the first time that you're hearing that, or you never thought about that. But for me, it all started when I had a fasting for a festival that's going on at this moment in time of recording in my country and South India as well. So it's a celebration of one South Indian god or Hindu god, you can put it, but it's mostly celebrated in South India, in Malaysia or Singapore, Asian countries. And I did that digital detox as part of my fasting because when normally it's a 10-day fasting. And we were told like normally most people what they do is like they don't eat out. You don't like have outside food. You cook your meal at home. You have healthier food. They focus also like in terms of what you're consuming in terms of the TV, or you reduce that so you focus more on the spiritual growth. But most people focus on the aspect that, well, we are not eating meat for 10 days. And then after the 10 days, it's like, yeah, let's go for it. Since I'm lacto-vegetarian since birth, well, since 3 years or 4 years old, um, so I had to find another way how to do my fasting because for me it was like every day. So there was nothing different about like not eating meat, not eating like, like fish or something or egg. So for me, it was more about eating like homemade food, making like eating more fruits and incorporating my spiritual practice, like elevating it, spending more time in my spiritual book. And then I added the digital detox because that came to, I was like in 2017 when I first started it. So everyone knows, my closest circle knows that for nearly 10 days, like they won't hear from me. So what I normally do is like I already tell them that I'm not going to be available from this date because for the fasting. And the first time I did it, they all asked like why, like how can you survive? How are you going to do like without your phone, without watching TV, without not knowing, like not listening to the news, only focusing on what I want to watch, not watch, like want to read. So at that time, what I did is like no screen at all. So there was no contact with the phone, like not even the TV. So back then I was staying at my parents' house. So when the TV was on, it's like I had my hands on my eyes and walking in the house. Yeah, it was funny. I was just doing it for the joke, but that's how I took it, like because I wanted to go inward. So for me, the digital detox in the modern, like world because we're so used, the moment you wake up, that's your alarm, right? Like most people, that's your alarm clock. So you turn it off and that's the first thing you watch. You will look and then you get engrossed and scrolling. And then I was like, nope, not waking up to that. So I had to go like old school. So at that time, it was, like the rooster next door that was waking me up at
Mm-hmm.
5. So that was really old school. And it was a powerful learning because the first 3 days, it was like really um, challenging, like not looking. So your mind go all over the place and you say like, what do you do? What can you do? So normally when people want to go like digital detox, you choose the way you want to do it, because some people is like they are going to say like social media detox, which means like they are not going to be going on social media for 10 days, or you choose the time frame. And I say like adapt it to what you need at that time. For me, that was my choice to add to my fasting. And since then I've been doing that. I think in the last couple of years I couldn't because of my business. So since my business is online, so I had it was a challenge like not to go on the media. But what I did is like I limit my time on social media, but it was like more focusing on journaling, like doing prayers or meditating, even if I had contact with social media. But to be honest, I prefer the 2017 one. I think I did it for a couple or 3 years. Yeah, so consecutive before I came to New Zealand. But that's how normally I do my fasting for this specific festival. That's my choice. And that's how this idea of digital detox came for this podcast episode. And I was telling Tina about it, which you have not heard for the first few minutes that I just went on a roll. And now I will leave the floor to her so that she got an idea, because she was asking me what's that about. And she was curious.
Always curious. I think it is helpful to have a curious mind, and for those curious humans who want to know a little bit more about me, seeing as my friend had this fantastic 60-second elevator pitch. I'm just loving it. Mine's always freewheeling. Hi, I'm Tina Marie. I am many things, including a mother of 4 boys, all almost teenagers. We've got 19 down to 12. A mother to 2 impatient dogs who desperately needed walking this morning before I even got started. For my day, partner to a fantastic human who rescues other humans for a living. And I am a sales extraordinaire. I can suit and boot people and make them feel fabulous. And I'm an intuitive guide, so I know when people are telling me bullshit. And I like to help other people grow and develop that muscle that they have themselves, is their intuition, because it's a very powerful indicator as to when you're heading down the right path and when you're not. And David's always very quick to remind me as to when I feel that I am trying to drive the ship myself, or whether I'm surrendering, allowing it to unfold as it should. So the digital detox thing is really an interesting thing for me, because I started to do it quite some time ago when I was married, which feels like 1,000 moons ago. My ex-husband was get up, go into the kitchen, turn the TV on, have the news blaring. Like he hadn't even had a chance to move his body. He hadn't, it was just get up, turn the TV on, switch the coffee machine on. And that was kind of our lives as the kids were growing. But when we separated in 2016, I stopped watching the news. I couldn't tell you the last time I sat down and watched a full 30 minutes or a full hour's news broadcast. I cannot sit there and listen to. I think there's important things that we all need to know about, and if there's things that we do need to know about, then I like to research it for myself and get lots of different points of view rather than it being a very biased commercial TV point of view. And do yourselves a favor when you watch the news the next time. Look at the colors that they use. Look at the choice of languaging that, that they choose to use, that something's disastrous or the world has become an anxious place, or, the thing is, it's the spin that they're wanting to put on it and how it's delivered to the seriousness of, no one's reporting on the good stuff in life. No one's reporting on the beautiful things that are happening in our world. And the problem is, if you start your day with thinking that the ceiling is caving in and you're Chicken Little and it's all going to be an absolute disaster for the rest of the day, have a guess how you're setting your day up to be. So it's been a pleasant journey of not watching commercial TV. I stopped listening to commercial radio not long after that as well. So I only choose to listen to music that inspires me and uplifts me, like when I'm going to the gym and I need to get, I need to get my butt moving, or I need to lift heavier weight, then I'm choosing music that inspires and uplifts me. But when I'm home and I want something a little bit more chilled, then there's jazz, or there's something else, or a bit of French cafe or something that'll go on the speaker at home. But it's like David said, it's really important to not necessarily do it at full speed, but to find little ways of cutting things out and do a test and measure, see how you feel. But we need to be mindful of our consumption of, if you've got an Apple phone, it tells you how many hours, how many minutes, how many seconds you've been on social media apps, or, if it's been like a language app where you're learning a language, well, then that's great, right? Because you're actually learning something. But if you've sat there for 2.5 hours and scrolled on Facebook and Instagram and done nothing but send your best friend memes to make them have a little bit of a laugh, well, maybe there could be something more constructive you could be doing with your time. But digital detox, I think, can also apply to an extent to the people that we surround ourselves with, and applying it a little bit to the water cooler at work in terms of how we talk about other people and what you're willing to participate in. Are you willing to participate in the gossip about John at Friday night drinks? Or are you willing to participate in listening to people talk poorly about somebody behind their back, but when they're in front of them, they're delightful and charming and, like nothing's wrong? I think we do need to be mindful about what we consume and also what we put out into the world, because it's that whole karmic cycle, right? In terms of what you put out is what you get back. So, and also what you put in is what you give out. So it does work in reverse. So yeah, I think it's very important to maybe do a little bit of a stock take on your life and what just for a day, and go, okay, when I get up, what do I do? Yes, I do use my alarm clock, but that's to haul my butt out of bed to get to the gym. And then, yes, I do use my phone because that's where my PT has put my information for my workout and my music. But then once I'm at work, I don't get an opportunity really to look at it unless I'm on a lunch break. So then that's maybe half an hour where I'm reading the book I've got or practicing my French, because eventually one day I'm going to have this conversation with my friend in French rather than English, because that's my next stretch exercise. And then it's, putting music on when you get home, but do yourself a favor and see how much time. Like, I was speaking to my trainer yesterday and she said her computer's really slow at the moment at loading things up. So while it's loading, she gets on a phone and she flicks through her phone. And she said, and now I've transferred over to a new computer. My brain still thinks I need to, while I'm waiting, I still need to flick and scroll. It's pathways that we set for ourselves that can be undone, people. Newsflash. You can change those pathways. They don't have to be set in stone, but we'd really love to do it with our kids. We'd really love to just cut out gaming and their addiction to the new norm of social interaction, which their father and I are completely horrified with, because I'm a networker. I love meeting people. I love finding out about people, and it's not how I choose to do it. It is how they are choosing to do it. But our concern is moving forward that you put them in a normal social situation. Do they know what social cues are, what social norms are? Do they know how to look someone in the eye? Do they know how to shake their hand? Do they know how to have a conversation? Do they know how to ask leading questions? All of these sorts of things that we had to learn how to do. But when you're behind a computer screen or a console controller, or you can say anything you want because you're not looking at the person. You're not seeing their face, their reaction, their thought process. When their face gets all screwed up because it's something that you said, they've gone, what? They're not getting that. All they're getting is the audio feedback, and it's not enough. It's not enough. As while their while their brains are developing, it's not enough for them. They need the visual cues, they need the kinesthetic cues, they need the auditory cues in order to build that bank of information to then go out and be good social citizens of the world, to be able to have a conversation with anybody. So this is why we think that we've got one who's socially really active and one that's just not, one that couldn't give a shit whether he's got a whole crew of mates or not. He's very happy with his own company. So it's just interesting as to the importance that, because we didn't have it growing up, we didn't have that influence of, mind you, we had the Commodore 64 and the Atari, console that you would jam a cassette into. But, we were playing it on the family TV that we would get 15 minutes before Dad went, right, ABC News is on, out. It's not happening. So it's just interesting how society has developed, and how by not regularly digitally detoxing, we have become more sedentary. We have placed less importance on gaining enough vitamin D, being out in the sunshine, moving our bodies, eating good food, doing all of that sort of stuff. We want the ease and the speed and the convenience of dialing up on our phone and getting Uber Eats. We don't even have to go through the drive-through. We don't even have to go to McDonald's or Hungry Jack's or the chicken shop or any of those places. We can just dial it up on our phone. We can have beautiful Indian food delivered to our door. We can have anything that we want, right? So whilst the convenience is awesome and was awesome during things like when we all had to stay at home, it's made us all bloody lazy. So the next time you're thinking about picking up your phone and dialing Uber Eats, have a think about it. Could I turn to my partner or my housemates and go, you know what? Let's get cleaned up. Let's go out. Let's not bring all this shiz into the house. Let's go out. Let's go and see what's going on in the world.
Let's get some steps as well. You know, let's get moving.
Yes, yes. I mean, there is great things to some digital things. Like I love my watch. My watch is super helpful in some things. In some things, it tells bullshit. In terms of like sleep rating, because it's not super effective, but in terms of monitoring heart rate while you're training and the amount of steps that you're taking, it's super interesting. But I just think it's a sad indictment on our society that we don't promote, you know, like everybody's promoting, you know, healthy living and stuff like that, but who's actually doing it? Because I know that there was this influx of people coming in, and you probably would have noticed it too, influx of people coming into the gym in September going, you know, and there was, you could feel the energy in there. There was like this anxiousness and nervousness, like, Jesus, the sun's coming out and I'm going to have to peel, you know, 2 or 3 layers of clothing off my body. I'm not sure I want to peel 2 or 3 layers of clothing off my body because I feel like my body has added 2 or 3 layers.
Yeah.
And now it will be in the space where it's the end of January, moving back into February, all of those part-time people will just, there's no motivation, right? There's no motivation to get up when it's dark. There's no motivation to get up when it's cold, and it's so much warmer in the bed with, you know, the human or the animal that you choose to share it with. Why would you want to? You know, but
Yeah.
it's just easy. It's just easy to lay in bed and read a book and get up and make yourself a cup of tea and then get back into bed, rather than going, get it together, get, you know, or get your trainers on, go out, take your, you know, your poor pets out for a walk, go and explore your neighborhood. When was the last time you went and actually explored where you live? You know, put the phones down, have a conversation with the people that you love about more than who's done the groceries and who needs to hang out the washing.
Yeah. And there are actually fun questions that you can go around and you can ask people, you know, like to get to know, because you can actually print it off, you know, like if you don't want to look at the screen or you want to write it down. And that
Mm,
can create like fun conversation, because
yeah,
if you just Google it before, you know, like you go on your digital detox and then you print it out, and then every single day you can ask like your partner different questions, and that make it fun. Like, and you don't need to have Google like right at your hand, you know, like you're allowed to print or write it down or memorize it if you want.
or better still, like we make our kids do when they have spelling homework.
Okay.
So I have my dictionary. It's about
Yes.
that big.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're going,
Yeah.
oh, can't we just Google it? And I'm like, no. See this big black book? This is the thing that your father and I used to use when we needed to look up words. You can too, because then it's really important to see the words that surround it and what their origin is and where, you know, where they come from. And, you know, it's really interesting when you learn another language too, because then you go, oh, so that's where that word comes from. So the word vélo for bike in French is, you know, that's why we call them velodromes. And, you know, all of this sort of stuff, it just all comes together and you go, oh, now that
That
makes
makes sense now. That makes
sense now, right? Um,
But now you're learning about yourself as well and learning more about the culture of the world and
yeah.
discover. And that's what I noticed when I did my digital detox back then was like because I had like a set of encyclopedias, you know, like and I had the world map, all of that. And like my dad used to buy anyway, like all the you know, like about scientific experiment done across the world, like a collection of them. So, like taking time to read about them. I never finished the set of encyclopedia. I started on the first
No
one, and
one
then
does, Dal.
yeah, I still there. We still have it. You know, we
Mhm.
still um, but now it's all on Google. And you know, like when people come at home, like kids, they will say, "What's that? Like, why do you have like a set of like black books? You know, like, and it's like written in golden letters on the outside, and you're like, yeah, what's that all about?"
Like
Because
magical Harry Potter information, right? You
yes,
just open the book and all of this fabulous knowledge kind of comes out
yeah,
of the inside of the pages.
because I did like read Harry Potter again during that time. Uh, but it was like it's really interesting when you don't have your phone and then your brain say what's happening, what's next, what and
Hmm.
like you said, like you can go out, you know, like you can go out and actually meet people and talk to people. Because whenever you go out now, everyone is like on their phone even like, you know, and we know like during the COVID time that would have been a challenging time because that's where most people connected, like how most people connected
Yeah.
through social media, all of that.
Yep.
But even then, I say like you don't have to spend the whole day on social media, you know, to know what's happening as
Yeah.
well. And I feel like more people are like scrolling, you know, like, and it can be seen like in experiment how we have. I think like we reach a point where a goldfish has more attention span.
And a
Is higher
human being.
than the human. That's a big that says big about how our brain is getting, you know. When I remember the movie like Limitless, or there was another movie where, you know, like where we use like more than 1% of it and how it make a difference, but we are not training our brain at all. We are choosing convenience all the time. Like we are
Mm.
choosing convenience, and that's why you see what happened in gym is a major like where you can actually see people like you said September when it's going to get warmer here in the southern hemisphere, you know, like and we can see more people like getting ready to go to the gym because you know you need like a beach body, I think it's called something like that, and or a bikini body or something like that
Yep.
to get ready for summer. And and then when you think of winter, there's like practically no one. It's like the gym is for you. It's like you're paying for your own gym, you know, like it's like you have your gym.
Glorious, isn't it? You get the free run of the
Mhm.
space. That's it's like when you go on a Saturday morning or a
Yeah,
Sunday morning. It's like there's maybe half a dozen people in the whole space. So you get a pick of treadmills or you get a pick of all the weight benches. Like you can sit right in front and actually see all the movement that you're doing. You're not kind of having to dodge around other people
yeah, yeah.
to be able to see what you're doing.
Because people always look for that external stimulation, you know, like we are constantly looking for that external stimulation or validation. And that's why where I came like with that digital detox. It's like going within, you
Yeah.
know, like you're facing like your demons, you know, like you're facing your heroes, you know, like you're building that hero within you and you're focusing on building yourself. And because that's the point of it as well. It's not just
Mm,
like taking away, because the more you're focused that, oh, I'm not using my phone, the more you're giving attention to that. And that's where your energy is at. But if you're
correct.
focusing, what can I do? for me right now? Is it like going for a walk? Is it like meeting a friend without the phone? I'm just saying like old school. Yeah, we are meeting at this place at this time. You know,
And
and
maybe make it about movement, like meet a
yes,
friend for a coffee, but maybe
go
do a
for your
walk
walk.
first, like go
Yes.
to the beach and meet for a coffee, but
Mm,
do the walk part first. And then the coffee's the time where you get to sit down and, chat more about whatever it is that you've been talking about on your walk. So then you are getting the social interaction, but you're getting the physical movement and you're getting some sunshine. And, even if you are in the Northern Hemisphere and it's cold and, the weather's not pleasant, you're still outdoors,
yeah.
because jumping in puddles is fun. And not that I've ever experienced it, but I'm sure playing in the snow,
Oh,
treat it like you're a 5-year-old and just go, how much fun can I have with it? Even if it's for like 10 or 15 minutes, it doesn't have to be long. It just has to be something other than enclosing ourselves away and, trying to find our way back to a community where we're involved in what's happening around us rather than. I think there's a difference between being internally motivated or being selfish, like closing yourself off. There's a way of looking within for answers, but it's not to the exclusion of other people. I
yes.
think for some people that can get a little bit confusing, is that there are people that like to close themselves off from society, but it's not about spiritual growth. It's just that as far as they're concerned, other people annoy them.
Yeah,
But the other people are trying to teach them something about themselves, but they're not willing to
basically.
go down that road, or like you say, face the inner demons, have a look at your shiz and the reasons why you do things, and are there patterns showing up in your life? Like
Yeah.
if you're not looking at your phone,
Mm,
there's going to be things that are going to bubble and rise to the surface and going,
yeah.
we've been held down long enough. It's about time you might want to just do a little bit of cleanup.
Like soul searching, like go on. And we're not talking like about being a hermit, like
No.
you seclude yourself from the world. That's not the point. It's like going within, like within yourself, but it doesn't mean like you don't meet people. But that's a choice that you can make, like you say, maybe limit the interaction with people that you find like maybe toxic, or it's not encouraging, it's not motivating you. You always feel drained after speaking to them, so maybe limit those interaction at that point in time and say and see how it feels,
Mm.
even if they are the closest one to you. So just limit and see who, because during the time you can see actually who really cares, who will actually say, are you doing okay? Like if you don't hear someone for 10 days, and you wonder like if people like will send you a message, like or not. The first few days, that's what you wonder, but then after that you're like, no, that's
Eh.
okay. Yeah, but it's like finding your tribe as well while you're finding yourself. And we talk about that in the first few episodes about your community as well. And it all come down to finding yourself. It all come down to really, it's not just detoxing digitally, but it's like physically as well. Maybe like focus on what kind of food you're putting, like you're eating. Maybe during like one day every week, like set a goal, and one day it's like detox the whole day.
Well,
It
maybe it's
doesn't mean,
vegetarian food, right? Maybe it's one day you
yeah,
cut out meat, or one, like you go, okay, well, I'm going to cut out sugar or breads or
yeah, yeah,
processed food, right?
mm,
Just go back to the basics of shopping around the outside of the supermarket.
yeah. And it doesn't mean now for the rest of the week you just eat everything you can so that you can detox. You say like, yeah, I have one detox day, that's fine. So I'm going to eat all you can, like I heard like there was some restaurant, I think it was in the US, pizza restaurant where it's like eat all you can, like in 1 hour, right? You pay certain price and then you eat how many slice of pizza you want, no matter what, irrespective. And so we are not saying like do that every single day so that you say, oh, I have a detox day. So that's fine, I can eat, you know, uh, but
I
it's,
think it's mindful consumption.
yeah,
It's listening to your body in all aspects when it says it's had enough. If it's had enough of people, or if it's had enough of watching TV, or if it's had enough of being on the phone, or if it's had enough
yeah.
food, or if it's
Mm,
had enough of socially interacting, it's trying to give you a timeout. It's at giving you permission to have a timeout if you're willing to listen.
mm. I feel there was in like a movie, I don't know where I saw that. Like they took away like the phone from that person and it was like actually looking around for the first time and that person was like, oh, there's colors, oh, there are shapes, like they are different, like it's like seeing the world for the first time. It's like
Yeah.
how the world is so colorful, like because that's what actually happened when you take, like your other senses, I feel like amplify and it changed. I noticed that after like the first 2 days or something, it changed, like you feel, and that's what you need to ask yourself, like how are you feeling after a half day? Is it like still challenging? So that may be like giving you an idea, oh, this is what I can work on, maybe reduce my time, like instead of scrolling, maybe I can do something else, like listen to a podcast, for example, or do
Mhm.
something else completely. And if after one day you feel better, so why not continue? Why not try it like a couple of days and see how it feels? And if you're feeling better about it and more comfortable, then maybe challenge yourself and get 3 days, like, and slowly increase it. It's not like going, yep, 10-day retreat, hermit mode.
Silence, not talking, not
Yeah, not talking, not seeing anyone, because that's what we said on the divine mess, like to deal with your mess you have to go on a 10-day retreat, hermit mode, digitally detox, even mindful of what I'm eating, and then on the 11th day I'm going for, the pizza where restaurant where I can have all the slice in the world.
I can watch
That's,
all the like going to one of those bars in the US, like one of those sports bars where there's 10,000 TVs and they've got every
mm,
sport imaginable on, and it's all, you'd have a bit of a meltdown, right?
yeah,
So a bit like David said, try it for half a day,
mm,
but it's almost like your shadow self or your ego will be going, come on, just pick up the phone. Come on, just pick up, why do you listen
yeah,
to those two? They don't know what they're talking about. Why do you listen to them? Just pick up your phone,
yeah, mm,
because you will get to that point where you want to quit, like you do in a lot of things where like, oh, I've got to 8 reps in this set and there is no way I can do another 2 or 3 or 4. But if someone else is standing next to you and going, come on, you've got that in you, be your own trainer, be your own personal trainer and go, come on, really? You know, maybe you could do some gardening. Maybe you could wash the windows where the dogs have had their noses up against it for the last 6 months and you've done nothing with it. All the little, all the things in your home that you've chosen to ignore because it's easier to pick up your phone or jump on your computer and watch YouTube shorts or watch shorts on Instagram or whatever it happens to be. Have a good look around your house and go, where else have I been consuming? Do I have too many clothes in my wardrobe? Do I have too many things in my utensils drawer in my kitchen that I can never find what I'm looking for? Does my house always feel cluttered and jammed up? And maybe it's time to have a detox across the board, but do it a room at a time, or do it, a portion of your life at a time. So maybe you choose not to do digital detox this time. Maybe you choose to detox a room of the things that no longer serve you, that, watch a little bit of Marie Kondo to kind of get the idea of, does it spark joy? Does it make you happy to have this thing in your home? And if it doesn't, share it on with someone else. Go to the local op shop and go, I've got this whole host of clothes or stationery or whatever it happens to be. Would you guys like it? Before you go and chuck it in your green bin that goes out the front, do something with it. And somebody else might need it. It's coming up for school starting time. If you've got a whole heap of stationery in your cupboards that you bought for your kids, and your kids have grown up, left home, no longer go to school, donate it to a local school. Do something with it. But then it's not occupying space in your home, and that means if it's not occupying space, you're giving space for something new and fresh and exciting to come in. I'm not saying go down to the department store and just buy up so that you can fill that space again. Maybe you can use the room or the shelf for something different. Maybe you can use the shelf to set it up as, where you put your crystals or your candles or your oils, or, creating a space where you can be mindful and journal and do your prayers, or just to have 5 minutes peace with a cup of coffee all by yourself, and you're not looking at all the stuff and going, shit, I've got so much stuff, I've got to get rid of it, but you get analysis paralysis and you get stuck. You go, I don't know where to start. Should I sell it? Should I just get rid of it? I don't know, Barley's, it's too hard. But try a little bit, try a draw, try something, and just have a little bit of a clean out and see how much better you feel. Don't leave it in the back of your car for 6 months. Actually take it and drop it off today.
Yeah.
So,
And actually decluttering, like physical decluttering is like really important. I know that I do that every single year. So like just making space, like even by the end of, I didn't wait for the end of the year. I was like doing it throughout the year.
yeah.
And like every 3 months, I think, like I was cleaning up and like doing a physical declutter, and you can see how the energy of the house like feels after that,
Yeah.
even of the room, even when you're walking out, like when you're walking in the house, you just feel different. It's like, oh, is it like a new home? Like, is it a new place?
Yeah.
But it's just the energy, because like Sharon from last week could have elaborated, like about the energy, how you place stuff, like in the house, or how you place it, how it can bring more abundance, for example, making more space.
Yeah.
And I do believe that there are stuck energies as well, like in some rooms, and that's why you feel, like when you go in like in a meeting room and you just feel that energy is like heavy. It's not just the building, it's the people as well, but it's like even the room, like if there was so much negative energy in there, and you
Yeah.
will feel that stuck energy in there. Yeah.
1000%. So whatever you choose to detox, be it yourself, be it your home, be it the amount of input that you get from others, whether it's in person or digitally, start small. Just start with something little and then work your way up. Don't have to do a 10-day in silence, no no electronics and only meditation, because let's face it, for those of us who are parentals, it's not practical. As much as we would love a 10-day break from it, sometimes it's not practical. So do it little and often,
Yeah.
like eating snacks. do it little and often, and just go every day going, okay, I'm going to tackle that drawer in the kitchen, and then I'm going to tackle the drawer beside my bed, and then I'm going to tackle the drawer in my bathroom. And while I'm doing that, I'm not on my phone. So I'm digitally detoxing at the same time. So it can be a win-win to clean out your home and to not be on your phone.
I feel for parents as well, that's a win situation as well, in terms of like, well, you get to see your kid more and they will be like, oh, we can actually play like board games, for example. We can actually make
Yeah.
fun game nights. We can actually do something else other than one is in his room, like playing games, or we are scrolling on the, Facebook or watching Netflix. We can actually, spend more time with the kids
Yeah.
and have deeper conversation, talk, listen, be present for them. I feel that's the perfect opportunity for that as well. So it's another detox for parents. I feel it's another level. Like in terms of the digital for parents, what I recommend is like, like put a special ringtone for when your kids are calling you, so that it's them, so that it
Yes.
like it's coming from them only, and that's the only notification that you need for the day. And you let everyone knows that I'm not available from this time to this time.
Yeah.
And you just put that special ringtone to allow the call coming from the school or from your kids, like, and this is like being mindful of being, like, even if you're detoxing, it's like from other people, but not the closest one. You're like, yeah,
Mm.
I give you that space, or, like allowing you, even if I'm like in hermit mode, like you
Yes.
can contact me. You can actually
Yes.
contact me. I'm to be present.
Yeah.
And that's what I normally recommend for parents, because that's something you can't escape. Like, it's not an escape, but actually look for things to do together, and actually go to the kids and say, okay, what do you want to do today, like tonight?
And
And they will
sometimes
give
for
you
kids though,
things.
that's too big
Mm,
in the what do you want to do.
yeah,
Sometimes it's better to give 2 or 3 options and
yeah.
go, you've got 3 options,
Hmm.
this, or you make one child king. They
Yeah,
get to make the choice. So everybody follows their lead and says, yes, okay, well, we're going to play cards tonight. And then the next night it's somebody else's turn to be king. So then they get to go, oh, we're going to play Uno, or I want to play Monopoly. Because then there isn't a fight over who picks out, if you're given 3 options, because speaking from experience, it makes it easier if one person makes a choice and then everybody follows suit, and then everybody gets to have a turn, and then the whole it eliminates that's not fair
yeah. Great idea.
conversation out of it. And then it just means there's better connection. Our kids are great when we're sitting, we've got, I think it's the 5-second game, where you've got to name 3 things about
Oh, yes. Yeah,
something,
yeah.
and you get 5 seconds to, and it's hilarious because you think your brain can work that fast, and sometimes it can, and sometimes it can't. It doesn't, play a couple of rounds of Uno, or get out in your neighborhood, go for a walk as a family,
As a family. Yeah.
go and see, go take your dinner outside, go for a walk, take the football, do something, and just remove everybody out. I know in the Southern Hemisphere it does get a little bit hot, and sometimes eating al fresco is quite a nice way to enjoy a meal. But it's also a really great way just to connect with your kids and have a conversation with them. So I think from my perspective, however you choose to detox, make sure you're involving your kids in it and getting them to understand that it's really important. We've set, rules for our kids that they have to do as much exercise as earning in game time. So if they exercise for an hour and a half, they get an hour and a half of time. So, that's working for us. That has been working for us over the school holidays, which the summer can be quite long when it's really hot and it's 40+ degrees outside, and, it's easy to sit inside.
Yes. Yeah.
and do not a lot. But whatever way works for you, it's about experimentation. I think for any of it is experimenting. Just try,
Mhm.
see what works for you, and just go, okay, well, at 7 o'clock, all the phones go in a box. They go in a
Yeah.
box and they get charged, and now it's time. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to ask us? We're open books. What questions do you want answered? Let's see if we can try and work it out without Google. Let's see if we can answer those questions, and if we can't, they're good questions to ask. Let's write them down and see if we can find ways of finding answers. Going to the library, go speak to your librarian, go for,
But like it's wiring the brain differently as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And just going back to that family time, which is, I think, so important to be connected, even if it's just you and your partner, or you and a housemate, or whatever it happens to be. It doesn't have to be you and, if you're not a parent. I think it's really important to connect with the people that you live with. And, because normally most families are shift workers, or, people are coming and going at all sorts of times of the day. Sometimes there isn't that opportunity to sit down and I know it's being digital, but to have a group where the family just can chuck jokes and memes and things in there, and you're having a rolling conversation, but at least there's something. You're still being connected, and then going, okay, WhatsApp's out, we're sitting and we're having dinner. It's 2 nights a week, or it's 3 nights a week. Start with a night a week that everybody sits down and has dinner together, that we plug back into each other and not into our phones. And then see where it leads you, because strange things happen when we connect back in
Right.
with, yeah, and lots of fun. So speaking of lots of fun, this has been a fun conversation. I love having conversations with you. And
So much. Yeah. Yeah.
and should we mention that we're looking for gorgeous humans to have a conversation with. So if you've got a subject that you're super passionate about, and or you want to talk about your own spiritual journey and the things that you've utilized, or the tools that you've gained along the way that you think can be of benefit to someone else, and for ease and convenience, if you are in the Southern Hemisphere, that would be amazing, because then we're not having to get up at stupid o'clock to have conversations with people, which is not our zone of genius. We'd love to hear from you. So, shoot us a message, or listen in, or follow us on Spotify and shoot us a message through there, or find us on Facebook or Instagram, where we like to play, when we do allow ourselves time to get on the phones. Shoot us a message, and let us know a little bit more about you, and
Yeah.
come and have a conversation.
Yeah, and we do have a post that you can share with people, so we will put it along this episode as well. And if you can share it with your network, that will be great, because we are constantly on the lookout. This year, like, we're opening our virtual couch, like to invite people in, and even like to share, like, about what you do, how you're impacting the world in your own spiritual way, or even in your own way. And we'll have a cool conversation. So we will have a chat before the recording, so no stress at all. There's no hard feelings, if because it's about seeing like if we are like energy matching as well. So
Great.
it's not like an interview. We don't call it an interview. It's just a conversation, free flowing. And if you see that we are aligned and that will be a good fit, and we will see as well, and then we'll go ahead with the recording.
Mm-hmm.
So we are welcoming guests this year, and we are looking forward to have more conversation with different background. And we already have a few lining up now coming in the coming weeks that we are really excited to see, and we are looking forward to those conversations.
Yeah.
So in the coming weeks, there will be different guests coming on the Divine Mess. So on that note, I feel it's a good time to say see you.
Adios.
Au revoir. Thank
Au
you
revoir.
for listening. You, like we said, like choose what will work for you for a detox, even a half day, even just going away for half day, that might work for you. But
And let us
you,
know. Let us know how you go. You know,
yeah, you comment
share
how
your
you,
share your wins. You know,
yes,
or share the not so fabulous elements to it, or your challenges with, you know, and perhaps how you've overcome them as well. So we look forward to hearing from you. And as always, we love you. Thank you for joining us, and have an amazing week. And we'll talk with you real soon.
thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
Ciao.